It's certainly important that the public and that our faculty and our staff and our students have confidence in the decisions that we make. So we take them very seriously. I take as long as possible. I'll take as much time as I can reasonably have to make the determination, to develop the recommendation that I make to the director of schools, because the closer I can get to the event, the better I'm able to determine how it's going to impact our ability to operate this district. We're always going to err on the side of safety for our students. Nothing's more important than the safe transport of our students while they're in our care. And so I think we have to earn the trust of the public by being methodical, by using data to develop our recommendation and the decision that we make. And we have to demonstrate to them by making good decisions that we're out here working hard. We're not just sitting around wondering about it. We're actually out looking at the roadways, looking at the campuses, studying the radar, going to the National Weather Service briefing, calling the forecasters, and trying to pinpoint when it's going to happen and how's it going to impact this county. Every Monday during any weather season, there's a briefing for all departments, and I attend that most every Monday. And so you can see right then if on their weekly or longer range forecast there's an event developing, and so we'll just start watching that event. And then as you get closer to the event, it'll either develop or it'll go away, or it'll prove itself that it's not going to impact our decision to open or close the district. And so assuming that it's an event that we think may impact our ability to safely operate the district, we'll watch it, and then as we get into the decision-making window, we can do it one of several ways. Sometimes it's so apparent that we're not going to be able to open the district that then we won't. And those are rather easy decisions to make. The more difficult decision is when the timing of the event or the significance of the event don't allow you to make a clear decision. Then you can get into the situation where we're actually going to get out and try to determine our ability to safely open the district and to operate the 300 school buses of the fleet. And that involves 6 managers, supervisors placed all over Montgomery County in 6 different regions. And then whenever they're instructed to do so, I'm one of those: the transportation manager, the vehicle maintenance manager, the fleet safety person, the master driver, and the risk manager. So the 6 of us have an area that we're responsible to go in and have a look at the condition of the roadways and provide an assessment of those roadways. And so specific to the roadways, we're looking for several things. The first one, are the roads passable for a relatively lightweight but long rear-wheel drive commercial vehicle that is not equipped with 4-wheel drive? We don't even have snow tires here in Tennessee. And the ability for that bus, are the roads passable for the vehicle that we're evaluating against? So that's going to be the first thing we look for. The next thing we're going to look for is what is the condition of the right lane or the right shoulder. If that is an iced condition, if the right lane is not available to the school bus, or if the condition of the shoulder is so poor that the likelihood of the child slipping and falling when they're in the bus's danger zone is too great, then that's not going to be an acceptable condition for us to try to operate the fleet. Another consideration is going to be the ability for the bus to make a controlled stop. So you have a young child standing there waiting to board the bus,
And when the driver applies the brakes, the bus must come to a controlled stop. 17,000-pound vehicle skidding or sliding is definitely an unacceptable condition and would cause us not to try to operate the fleet.
Then I'd say the last thing, which may be implied, but it's certainly a consideration that the six of us use as we're making our determination, and that's just going to be, what are the conditions of the roads for the 16, 17, and 18-year-old young student drivers? So each of those managers is required to travel and evaluate each of the campuses in their regions. And so when we get on the campuses, there are several things we look at. The first one is the condition of the roadways. Are the roadways available to the buses? Are they available to the special ed buses, which is generally a separate path into the school building? And then finally, what is the condition of the roadways where parent pickup and drop-off is conducted? So we look at all three of those things, and then we expand our look, and we take a look at the parking areas. And so we just simply want to determine, are the parking areas adequate and are they safe for our faculty and staff, for our student drivers, and for the public and any visitors that may want to come to the district or come to that building. And so we have a responsibility to provide a safe parking space and safe passage from the parking area into the building. And then, of course, we're going to look at the condition of the sidewalks and the sidewalks that are specific to our ability to open the building. Where do the kids come in? Where's the faculty come in? And where do the parents or the public come in? All of those areas have to be clear. And then probably the last thing we look for is where we have portables on a campus, we want to make sure that those youngsters have a clear path from the portable classroom and then into the main building. When we complete our assessment, then we try to determine what is the best recommendation that we can make to the director of schools. And some of our options are either a 1 or 2 hour delay. And so the purpose of the 1 or 2 hour delay is if in our judgment the roads have minimal hazards, but enough that we believe the safest condition for our students and our drivers would be to allow the driver to have a daylight view of the roadway in front of them so that they can clearly see under natural light any hazard that may be on that roadway. And so we would, just based on the timing of sunrise and when daylight's going to make itself available, either a 1 or a 2 hour delay. Sometimes the 1 or 2 hour delay gives our grounds crews a little extra time. So if we feel very confident that the roads are good, but we may need a couple hours to get onto the campuses and get some salt on areas of black ice, allow the custodians to finish the clearing of the sidewalks, then a 1 or 2 hour delay may be appropriate. The half-day determination was made because all of the weather data that was making itself available to us kind of indicated that with a requirement for 3 hours to operate the fleet, from the time we start until the fleet is secure, it takes about 3 hours to deliver all of our passengers home. The timing of the event, the best information we could gather from the Weather Service, the National Weather Service, and from other sites that we use, is that we could do a half a day and still have a 3 hour safe window to transport our students home. Let's say the schools are closed. Our grounds crews and our custodians have several responsibilities. The first of which is to prepare all of the fuel sites, because CMCSS has a relationship with the emergency medical services, the ambulance service. They use our fuel, and so whenever anything is closed, we still have to make that fuel available for those emergency services. So we'll have our grounds crews on each of those 5 locations, plowing, scraping, shoveling, and salting the road access, and then the fuel point itself, so that they remain available. The next thing we do is probably go to the central office and try to make sure that we have a safe area there. And then as we get on to the schools, generally speaking, we'll start with the high schools, and we'll go about correcting all of those things I talked about earlier. Whenever we go about making these determinations, one of the more difficult issues is that once a county in Middle Tennessee makes the decision and closes their district, that pressure that shows up on social media as soon as another county closes, for us to jump out there and make the decision, really can complicate the matter. And it can also apply pressures that cause us to make the wrong decision. It's a large county, and the weather can impact the county very differently from the north to the south or the east to the west. And so sometimes, for example, all areas and all campuses and all roadways north of the Cumberland River are in great shape, very passable and very accessible. But the schools to the south and the roads to the south are dangerous. And so the question would be, well, why wouldn't you just open the schools to the north? And our response would be that we have teachers and staff and faculty that may live to the south that work in a school on the north, and they couldn't get there. So then we would have kids in the building without teachers, and it would just super complicate our ability to operate the district, because teachers and staff don't necessarily live in the school zone where they teach. And so we consider all of those things. Another one of the factors that we consider is we have in Montgomery County what we refer to as inclement weather routes, so specific to cold weather. Whenever the wind chill is below 20 degrees or if it's raining, we offer an inclement weather route. The purpose of the inclement weather route is to allow the student to remain in the protection and the comfort of their home until they see the school bus arriving. And that's a critical point. As soon as the child sees the school bus approaching their home or their stop, they must immediately exit the home and move quickly to the bus stop, allowing the bus driver to see them and then to stop at the stop to pick them up. The bus driver has no idea which students are or are not going to school on any given day. So they're not going to stop at every home where a child lives. They're not going to be sitting, beeping their horn, going through all the neighborhoods. They are just going to travel some additional roads in an attempt to get closer to the child and allow that child to stay in the comfort and protection of their home. So that being the case, we would be more apt to make the decision to go to school in extreme cold, for example, because we know that our children will be able to stay in the protection of their home. And then on the backside, in the afternoon, the driver then knows who the passengers are on the bus, and they will travel additional roadways and make additional stops, not necessarily to put the child right in front of their home. They're not going to stop at every home, but they will make additional stops to allow children to get out when they're closer to their home. It's important for the public to understand that we try to always make our determination, our recommendation, our decisions based on the conditions as they have impacted the roadways and the school campuses in Montgomery County. And so if we seem to be hesitant, we're always going to try to provide an opportunity for our students to be in front of their teachers for 6.5 hours a day. And sometimes when we're taking a little longer than the public might like, it's because we're trying to get every opportunity to put our children in a classroom in front of their teacher.